all that you love. Show them no mercy.
This is truly delightful.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is for the champion.
I'm coming for you. All right, guys, we got work to do.
You know we did it again.
So do you hang out in the hood all the time, or do you just come up here for our food and women?
Where's our waiter?
Baby, hey, couple racks, hey, couple Grammys on him.
You and I tell each other everything, right?
Always. This is my case. I've got to make this right. Your reputations precede you.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
That's nice to hear.
Not in a positive way, I'm afraid.
Oh, not? Okay.
Okay.
I'm whatever I need to be to keep her safe. How do you feel?
I can come in out of retirement.
I told you long ago on the road, I got what they waiting for.
We have no idea what they're capable of. But life is full of surprises.
What are we left to?
I got what they waiting for. You was never really rooting for me anyway.
I could take you out of here.
When I'm back up at the top, I wanna hear you say,
Don't improvise. Trust no one.
the break is over. When I'm back up at the top, I wanna hear you say,
Mother of Godzilla!
Who said that?
and this one is for the
Something is happening, and I don't trust them.
For all that you love, show them no mercy.
That was serious.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Pranab. Zack Snyder and Netflix just released a short Rebel Moon trailer as part of a larger Netflix trailer for their upcoming 2023 stuff. Like, here's all the movies that we're releasing in 2023. Rebel Moon is Zack Snyder's new movie that he's been working on for a while that actually started life as a Star Wars movie that he was planning on doing for Lucasfilm a long time ago. So we'll break it all down because there's some cool Easter eggs in the way this movie got started. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos where, as you would expect, it looks like it's going to be super crazy in a good way. The movie is about a peaceful colony on the edge of the galaxy that's threatened by the armies of a tyrannical region named Belisarius. The desperate civilians dispatch a young woman who has mysterious paths to seek out warriors from nearby planets to help them challenge the region. It stars Charlie Hunnam Jim and Hansu Anthony Hopkins, and Sophia Batella that you see in the trailer. The young woman in the synopsis is Sophia Batella's character actually named Korra, but it's with one R. I don't think that's inspired by Avatar, The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra, or anything like that. I think that's just a coincidence. Charlie Hunnam and Jamie and Hansa seem like they're the warriors that she seeks out on nearby planets to help their colony here. The large ship landing seems like it belongs to the evil region character. That might be Anthony Hopkins' character, but I didn't spot him anywhere in the trailer footage, so we'll see who he winds up playing in the film if it wasn't clear when he's talking about it. It's actually a two-part movie. Like, this is just part 1 of Rebel Moon. Part 2 will be a completely separate film that he's working on later, so I'm assuming there will be some kind of cliffhanger at the end of the first movie. This is actually Zack Snyder talking about the film with Michael Giacchino, who just got done directing Werewolf by Night for Marvel, but as he talks about it, he says that he hopes this Rebel Moon will turn into its own special think like its own franchise and do more films after it. He does talk a little bit about his Star Wars influences there, but he's talked about this in the past as well. Originally what happened is about 10 years ago, before Disney bought Star Wars and before he had finished releasing the first Man of Steel Superman movie, Disney had started taking pitches for what would become the Star Wars sequel trilogy like Star Wars The Force Awakens. And he, like many other directors at the time, pitched his take to Lucasfilm, so for a brief, hot second, there was a chance that he was going to make the Snyderverse version of the Star Wars sequel movies. He said his pitch was rejected at the time, but this was back in 2012 when they said no to his ideas. And he says out of that, he took his original Star Wars pitch and took out the trademark Star Wars stuff, the locations of the characters like Luke Skywalker and the like, and essentially just reimagined everything is the exact same type of movie, same scenario that looked and moved the same way, same basic story in general, just no Star Wars copyrighted stuff, maybe with a Wilhelm scream, but that's not copyrighted, like no studio owns the Wilhelm scream and named it Rebel Moon, like Rebel as in Rebels from Star Wars, but imagine it as an indoor type of movie like he mentions during his interview. He hasn't fully revealed exactly what would have happened in his Star Wars movies, but he said it was meant to be a darker, grittier, Kurosawa 7 samurai type of film on a planet like Endor, which is where all the Star Wars comes in, obviously. George Lucas has said for a long time that the original Star Wars movies were heavily inspired by Kurosawa's samurai films like Hidden Fortress, so it makes sense that Zack Snyder would pitch something based on similar things, and after they turned him down and he took the name Rebel Moon in the scenario, a lot of the characters, and just took the Star Wars out. When you look at the trailer footage here and you listen to the synopsis for the movie, it does feel like a very Seven Samurai Kurosawa type of movie. Bunch of badasses get together to protect the village from a really powerful force, when he says a dark and grittier take on Star Wars. A good example would be his DC movies like Batman vs Superman, the Justice League. Snyder cut gives to all of his movies, but done in space opera style. I don't know how things would have turned out if he had wound up making the Star Wars sequel movies. It sounds like he would have had to leave the DC movies early on if that had happened. Because if he was pitching a Star Wars trilogy in 2012, before Man of Steel was out, it sounds like at that time, his contract to come back for Batman vs Superman in Justice League hadn't been finalized yet, or Warner Brothers was just waiting out. You remember the slate of DC movies that they had planned was completely different. That changed a couple of times over the years. When they hired him to come back after Man of Steel, it was for Batman vs Superman with the idea that they had already planned on doing his Justice League trilogy. By the time they hired him to come back for Batman vs Superman, they're like, okay, we're going to let you do Justice League now. And that's why they let him do Man of Steel 2 as a Batman vs Superman movie instead of just a straight-up Man of Steel sequel like they would do with most directors, because they were trying to get their Justice League movie out within a couple of years of that, and they wanted to get all the characters together way faster. It wasn't until Batman vs Superman was released in theaters in 2015 that Warner Brothers started messing with the Justice League trilogy of movies. When Batman vs Superman came out in theaters, they were already deep in production on the first Justice League movie in movies, so they had to get all this story out in 2 movies now. And a little while after that, they did it again. They freaked again and said he could only do one Justice League movie. And then tragedy struck, his daughter died, and we saw what happened next. Joss Whedon came on, it turned into a huge debacle for several years. Cut to recently, he came back to do his original plan for the Justice League Snyder Cut with a few minor tweaks, and it did. His full plans were originally for Justice League sequels 2 and 3. They actually asked point blank if he's coming back to do more DC movies, like, have they expected you to come back and do more after the Justice League Snyder Cut? As he says, he has not been subsequently contacted by any of the new people at Warner Brothers in DC about the Snyderverse movies or doing more DC films. And I don't think that he's lying about that. Like, I think he's trying to basically say, no, DC phase 1 of movies. And we know that there's going to be a brand new Superman movie during that, because he revealed that he's actually been writing a new Superman movie with the younger Superman. But recently people saw him reading All-Star Superman, and that is probably one of the better Superman stories, so a lot of people are like, wait a minute, does that mean that the new Superman movie is inspired by All-Star Superman? It sounds like it'll be an original story, like it won't be a direct comic adaptation, but I will do videos for LLT big announcements that he winds up making that should have happened pretty soon, so make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss those videos. We'll get more Rebel Moon trailers later this year, because the movie's not coming out to the end of the year. They're probably going to wait till this summer before they release like a really big trailer. The Super Bowl is coming up. There's always a bunch of big trailers from everyone. During that, of course, I'll do a bunch of trailer videos. I don't know what Netflix has planned for that, but there'll be a bunch of big Marvel trailers. There'll be a big DC trailer for the Flash movie. Thank you so much for watching.